interesting because Metreleptin is kind of the standard of care treatment for at least generalized lipodystrophy in the United States. It's FDA approved for that. It's kind of the core treatment, but we've actually seen in some case series that we've done and some preliminary data that there does seem to be a potential synergy between Metreleptin and GLP-1s. And there's some animal data even that show that there are receptors in the brain that have both GLP and leptin receptors, and so there is this potential kind of crosstalk or synergy between them. So we just kind of had the thought of thinking, what is the real world usage of the combination of Metreleptin and GLPs? How often are these actually combined in clinical practice? So for this study, we used the Komodo insurance database, and we looked at health claims in the United States, sort of dating back to the usage of GLPs over time. And we basically took patients that were on chronic Metreleptin therapy and looked at how many patients were additionally being prescribed concurrent GLP therapy, and how do those patients differ from the patients just on the monotherapy. So we found about 120 patients who were on the chronic Metreleptin monotherapy, and then about 20 patients who were on combination concurrent Metreleptin plus GLP therapy. So about like 15% of all our patients were on combination. And what we found is that it does seem, as you might expect, that patients being prescribed the combination were sicker than the patients being prescribed the monotherapy. So they tended to have a higher rate of diabetes complications, suggesting poor control over the long term. They had a higher A1C level. And so that's kind of expected that they were kind of added on an additional therapy, so it makes sense that they would be a bit sicker. They also had higher healthcare utilization, so more doctor's visits, more medical diagnoses than the patients who were on just the monotherapy. What was interesting further was that really the patients that were on the combination therapy tended to have a more complex diabetes regimen. So they were prescribed a combination of insulin and oral agents, which differed from the patients who were on the monotherapy. What this actually seems to suggest to me is that GLPs, while they were sicker, so it makes sense you're adding something, this was actually like a last resort option to add, that patients were not just immediately added on a GLP as their like next line after Metreleptin. Instead, someone added insulin, oral agents, multiple things, and then finally initiated a GLP. And this could relate to the fact that there is some hesitation in the community about using GLPs in patients with lipodystrophy because of the risk, like the concern, I guess you can say, about the risk of pancreatitis. And patients with lipodystrophy, because of their high triglyceride levels, tend to have an increased risk and even a prior history of pancreatitis. So that is my speculation that could be why, but it's interesting to see that there is some sort of reluctancy to add it right away as a next line and to actually kind of wait after you've added multiple agents. We also looked in the study at the risk of pancreatitis and how many of our patients who were on the sustained combination developed pancreatitis. And out of 14 patients who were on sustained combination Metreleptin and GLP therapy, 4 of them ended up developing pancreatitis. So this is a very high-risk population for pancreatitis. I think this really argues that we need to be able to tease out the safety and efficacy better of the combination and also of GLP monotherapy separately. But this definitely is kind of food for thought that there is definitely episodes of pancreatitis happening, and we need to kind of further understand that better. It's interesting, based on what we saw in terms of the usage pattern, it does seem like clinicians are sort of holding back in terms of adding it because of the risk of pancreatitis as a possible, explanation for that. But we did not look in this particular study at the efficacy of the combination, but from some case series that we have, which we actually presented previously at Endocrine Society, we do see that there does seem to be this benefit of having the combination used together. It seems like from some case series, the benefit of the effect of a GLP alone in lipodystrophy may be a reduction in A1C of like 1 to 2%. But the combination in some of the cases we've seen is more like 2 to 3 and even higher percent. So it's not just like like an additive effect, but actually like a synergy of the two kind of working together and having a better impact than either one alone. And so this is very exciting and something that we want to explore further. We want to understand in more detail like how these agents can be used together. When we treat obesity, outside of lipodystrophy, it's always, we're adding a GLP and now a GIP and then a glucagon receptor agonist and on and on. It makes sense that in lipodystrophy, you're not just missing one adipokine leptin. You might have alterations or benefit from augmentation of multiple different pathways. And so it makes sense that we should be more thinking about combination therapy, and Metreleptin and GLP might be one of those combinations.